Greetings, everyone. So tonight I want to talk about narcissism and fawning. So what fawning means is when the narcissist goes into some of their tactics and or behaviors, you immediately go into a fawning response to maybe stop them from raging. Maybe you do it because if you don't fawn, you're going to hear about it for the next 3 hours and you want to sleep. Or if you don't placate them and say what they want you to say and go along with whatever craziness they're talking about, that you're going to pay for it. So fawning, there's all different ways you can fawn. And I've realized that I'm a huge fawner. But now where my life is, I'm fortunate enough that if I'm around a person who's a narcissist or maybe just has a few narcissistic behaviors, I fawn and then I get out and then I don't have anything to do with them. If it's that kind of situation. Maybe it's someone you have to see all the time. Maybe you go, I don't know, to the barber shop or the local bar or something like that, and you kind of have to see this person. You can fawn enough just to, keep your own peace. But I've done it in jobs. I think a lot of us have. You sort of figure out the manipulative behaviors of the narcissist, and because you want to keep your job, you just go along with it. You know that they're nasty or that they're batshit crazy or that they're manipulating you or whatever it is that you're concluding. But in order to, what is that old saying, go along to get along? You just do that and then you keep your job. Usually in those situations, even when you're fawning, you're going to suffer. Because really, no matter what, when you're around this person, you're going to suffer. And the less that you have to do with them, the better you'll be. If you have the opportunity to choose. If you're in a job with a really horrible narcissist, or maybe the assistant manager is a narcissist and making your life a complete living hell, the best advice I could give you is get a different job. I mean, honestly, in the perfect world, in my opinion, having your own business is the best. But I don't have my own business, but I'm trying to figure out how to do that. I'm more artistic, really. But yeah, fawning can come in so many ways. If any of you have been in an abusive relationship with, and I'll use heterosexual female with a heterosexual male because that's what I am and I have experience with this. So say if you're in a domestic abuse situation, which if in any case you're in domestic abuse and they can be physical, your safety is the most important. And if you are in a situation like that, I don't have the number on me, but there are a lot of domestic abuse shelters you can call. And what you need to have is a safe plan. And I'll go into that one day. I just thought of this right now. So, like, say you're a heterosexual woman with a heterosexual man, and he's abusive to you. And you're in a public place. Say they love to scream at you in public places. Like in the car. That's one of their favorite places. So they're screaming at you in the car. And they're talking craziness. Like they're talking rubbish. They're talking stuff that doesn't make any sense at all. But you just go along. You're like, okay, I'm sorry. You didn't do anything, but you're just going along with it because one, you don't want to get hit. And two, if you just placate and do what they want you to do, they'll calm down. And then you're not going to get hit. Or your children are not in danger. Or, you don't have to have the silent treatment for 2 more weeks. Or whatever it is. So, I was listening to Reese Kibel talking to Natalie Webster. And, her story is very, how do I say it? It's compelling. The level of abuse that she was under was really bad. And she was explaining how she was planning to divorce him and leave him, and the things that she was saying to him to just tell him that divorce was a better option. I forget exactly all that she said, but she was saying things that would appeal to his ego and his senses and make it sound like divorce was a good idea. And in fact, she really was doing everything for a different reason. And what she was doing was fawning. So when you have a mother who's trying to protect her child, fawning is going to be extreme. Or even a male who is protecting children might do some fawning to protect the children, or even to protect his own safety, So I've thought a lot about it, and I really think that fawning in a workplace is so common. So common. I know I've had to do it a lot of times. And I had a lot of really good workplaces. I had some really cool bosses. Really nice bosses. But I had some really nasty ones too. And the ones that were nasty, I had to fawn. Because I was in a situation, I had to have that job at the time. So, and those kinds of narcissists, like the narcissist boss, or the narcissistic workplaces, like Permission to Exist did a whole series on, Narcissism, I think. Yeah, she did some really good videos. And I, in fact, have a book floating around here somewhere on that kind of thing that I haven't read yet. Because when I read, I don't read as much as I used to, but I'm trying to get back to it. But I like to hop from one subject to the next. I don't want to only be studying narcissism because it's depressing, but I do like to learn about it and other topics too. But so when I'm thinking of what they call the narc haven, like the workplace that is filled with harassment, and I think you call it in human resources terms, what is it called? Toxic workplace. What's the other one? I don't know, workplace bullying, which, by the way, in my experience, they never do anything about it anyways. I mean, and I lived a long life. I've had various jobs. And as I got older, I started to get more wisdom because that's what happens. But as a woman, I was, and I'm fairly good looking, getting older now, so it's not the same. But I always was dealing with a lot of harassment. I handled it though. Sometimes men are they're harmless. Some of them are harmless. But getting back to the whole fawning is like, in my, how do I say it? In my experience and how I could explain it is that fawning is like a survival skill. It's like a survival mechanism. Like, I might talk about it more one day. One of my very first extremely narcissistic situations was a very, very abusive marriage. And I don't know if I want to talk about it, but I kind of was thinking about it because I feel like I could teach a lot of people some good, some good things about knowing what to look for and also what you can do if you're in those situations. And I got divorced back in 1992, left everything. And trust me, the police didn't do anything. Back then it was like, oh, really? He's beating you? Oh, big deal. You know what I mean? So, anyways, that was just one part of it. But as far as the fawning, it's like, it's this incessant need in you to take care of your survival and to take care of your needs. And really, like in a work situation, that's a huge thing. But it could be in a marriage, it could be in a romantic partnership, in which you're not married. It could be a gay relationship, it could be a straight relationship, whatever it is. But when people are humiliating you, if they're gaslighting you, they're lying to you, that's abuse. That's narcissism. And so you fawn. I mean, a lot of people fawn. For me, and I've got more work to do, I'm sure, but for me, fawning is huge, and flight. There's two more, I can't think of them right now, but those are the two that I really, really, really use. And that's that whole flight or fight. No, I think fight is another one, I believe. But anyways, so you will find ways to fawn, and I believe fawning could also be, you wouldn't have to say anything. You just put your head down and just shut your mouth, sit in your desk, and fawn. You know what I mean? Be a good little. Well, I don't want to offend anyone here, but one of my coworkers, we had a joke, and well, she was African American, so I don't mean any disrespect to anyone here, but she and I used to joke because this workplace was quite crazy, and I predicted it was going to close, and it did, and it's a long story. But a lot of good people there, but a lot of bad people there, and it was really chaotic, and it was stressful. And she and I used to always joke, and we were like, "Yes'm," you know what I mean? Like, "Yes'm." So to me, the reason I'm making a joke about that is that's fawning. You know what I mean? Like, "Yes'm, I need my job." So, yeah, there's so many different ways, like I've talked about this over and over. The last job I had that basically fired me for not participating in a medical experiment. It was bad. There were a lot of really good people there, thank goodness for me, but I was fawning my little brains out, but that's exhausting. But you can fawn by just keeping your mouth shut and just minding your business. And even though you know what they're doing was wrong, like, and I'm talking about more so in a workplace, could be any situation, but you know what they're doing is wrong, but you do what you got to do until you get into a different place or you get away from them. I had a roommating situation that was like that once. Oh, Lord, I got some stories. But it's just like, you do what you have to do for yourself. And if you're a mother or a father with children, you do what you have to do to take care of yourself, because you got to take care of yourself, because if you don't, you have nothing to give your children. But in those situations, it's for yourself and your children. And it could even be like husband and wife, and you're doing what you guys have to do to make your life toxic free, right? So you might fawn. Like, say that you have a really annoying, rude, and I know this is so cliche, but let's just say you have a mother-in-law that is really just rude, just real narcissistic, and you and your husband have decided you're just going to really go low contact, which means very little very, very little interactions. So then she's going to be like, don't you love your mother? That's the guilt. And then maybe she was calling you every single day and now you guys just aren't available, right? So in a way that's fawning too. Because you're kind of just being low key, a little bit passive, but passive in a positive way for yourself. And, you're taking care of yourself. So, I mean, honestly, too, I talk about it a lot. The last 4 years, a lot of people had to fawn, if you know what I mean. Like, there was so much craziness going on. It's like you just had to fawn and just mind your business. I'm not kidding. During all the C stuff, when I would go to the grocery store, I would listen to my music. Or when I would go out. But it was also, for me, that helped me to relax myself and to not participate in the mass hysteria or the mass mind control program. You know what I mean? Like, so it doesn't matter what the situation is. It's like you have to do what's best for yourself. And these more toxic, narcissistic people will do whatever they can to try to drag you into their stuff. Drag you into their stuff. So, trying to think of some other examples. Okay, I thought of one. So narcissists always want you to answer to them. They always want you to answer to them. Did you get that assignment finished? Hey, Eyes, did you get that project completed like I asked you? And it's always got to be like I asked you. You know what I mean? They got to get that last in there. And obviously this does not apply to a person who is not a narcissist. They might ask you that and they're not being a jerk. They're just, they're just asking you kindly. But I also believe, like my mother taught me, one thing that she taught me, and she really drilled this. Beauty is as beauty does. I totally believe that. But we weren't real religious, but she would also talk about the 10 Commandments. And, basically how you treat other people, you know what I mean? How you treat other people is very important. So I just think I'm probably going to do more videos about fawning because I feel that it's so huge. It's so huge. And I didn't think about this until like the last year. I just got to thinking about how prevalent fawning is in our society. And in fact, fawning is interwoven, and I've talked about this over and over. Fawning is interwoven into our systems. It's policies. I mean, not to drill it over and over, but, the whole LRH policies, everything that he was writing, allegedly it was just him, was all for fawning, right? You will submit. I might do a video on all that kind of stuff one day. When I talk about what has been anchored in society as conspiracy theories, certain subjects I used to talk about, my videos used to always get taken down. And my next goal for this channel that I have here is to get 100,000 views. I probably will never get a lot of subscribers, and I appreciate you guys that do subscribe. I do. I appreciate you guys. But what the point I was going to make with that is then they'll start attacking me. The algorithms will start attacking me. But there are some topics I can talk about and it won't be a big deal. But it's all related to the fawning. It's all interwoven. It's interwoven. Submit, slave. Obey. You will obey. All you have to do is go on Google and do a search. It just drives me crazy. Do you know how many belt buckles and t-shirts are sold that say obey? I mean, just watch They Live. It's like they make fun of us. So I really think that's very similar to narcissism, where the narcissist wants you to submit, to obey, on your knees, whatever it is. So I don't think fawning is a bad thing. If you are taking care of your welfare or your children's welfare or your husband or wife or somebody that you love, your friend, you do what you got to do to take care of yourself. So and I think it was interesting how Reese was explaining what she told her husband about getting divorced from him. That was a classic example of fawning. And some people might even say that, like, if you looked at it in a different way, it might be considered lying or gaslighting. I think more so lying. But if you are protecting your life or the life of your children, you do and say whatever you need to say. That's it. So, yeah. Like how all of these various systems were pushing things the last few years and attempting, I don't think they were successful. A lot of people would argue with me, but I have my own mind and I can have my own thoughts about things. I feel that a lot of what these demonic, reptilian devils were attempting to do, I don't think it was as successful as they would have liked. And that goes back to a lot of us fawned, so whether you have to fawn with your mother, whether you have to fawn with the completely rude, nasty, disgusting bus driver that you need to get on that bus to get where you're going, you do what you got to do. So I think I'm out of ideas here. However, I hope this is helpful. I hope this is helpful. And have an amazing day or night wherever you are. Peace.